Sorita, Nazuma Besakaiste.
Good morning. The title of my paper is Migrant Behavior, the Quest to Uphold the Tamil Identity. The topic is Society, Culture, Identity, subtopic Cultural Relativism. Identity plays a vital role in the conception of oneself. A man, as a rational being, considers his identity as the significant factor to define him or herself. Each one of us identify ourselves as something or other, don't we? As a teacher, as a student, as an artist, as a dancer, as a singer, as an athlete, and so on. Similarly, each one of us have a cultural identity embedded within us. As an Indian, within that, as a Tamil, as a Kannadiga, as a Telugite, and so on. Thus, identity is closely related to culture. What is culture? Culture is defined as languages, norms, beliefs, and values of people. And more than that, culture forms a way of life. Culture is a combination of elements that affect how each of us think and each of us act. Thus, these languages, norms, values, beliefs, and most importantly, the place where we belong, tends to build one's cultural identity. The focus of this study is migrant behavior. Thus, when a person, when he leaves his native land and moves to a place completely foreign to him, the feeling of having a cultural identity is aggravated. He makes it so essential that he upholds his cultural identity to defend himself of being looked as a minority or being defended of seen as a refugee, and to defend himself being looked down upon in a foreign country. Thus, the focus of this paper is the case of Tamils who migrate from Tamil Nadu or say Sri Lanka to 5 countries. The chosen countries are the United States, United Kingdom, United Arab Emirates, Singapore and Malaysia. The objective of the studies are to see what is cultural identity, why is it significant in the conception of oneself, and to see to what extent migrants, what are the ways they uphold their culture through language, through customs, through celebrating festivals such as Diwali, Pongal, Tamil New Year, and etc. And to also see whether the values of migrants, are there any different from traditional values on institutions such as marriage, family, relationships. And as we're looking at 5 countries, does the perception of a Tamil migrant in US differ from another country, such as, does the perception of a Tamil migrant differ from someone in the United States and Singapore? So there's a comparison, which is also the objective. And the objectives also include the overview of challenges and culture shock faced by migrants. And the role of internet is definitely a major factor while looking at the global integration of Tamil migrants. And we're all aware of the global reach of Tamil cinema and the hype and the craze created for it. And there's a small section of the study which also included the role of migrants behind the global reach of the Tamil cinema. And finally, the objective, the whole research revolves around this statement: home is not where you live. It is where you have a sense of belonging. To see to what extent is this statement true in this case. It is essential for me to talk about the history of the Tamil diaspora while I talk about Tamil migrants. Diaspora is defined from a Greek term, diaspora, which means to disperse or to scatter. So, the Tamil diaspora comes under a specific lingual division of the Indian diaspora, which has a global presence. To look at the early settlements of the Tamil diaspora, we have to look at early sugarcane plantations in Mauritius, Jamaica, and Caribbean islands, and also South America and South Africa, and rubber estates and railways in the Federated Malay States, which is Malaysia, and the coffee and tea estates of Ceylon, and the coal mines of New Caledonia of Australia. And a few interesting events where there is a Thiruvemparai festival which happens in Thailand, which has Tamil origins. And a Shivalinga is worshipped among the Mayas of Mexico. These are evidences and traces of early Tamil settlement. To look at language, language is a symbol. What is a symbol? A symbol is something which helps us derive meanings from social interactions. Thus, while we look under the theory of symbolic interaction, we see that language is one of the main symbols which help the unity of the Tamil diaspora. Thus, it forms the main core of the Tamil identity. To mention world Tamil population, according to the latest available data, we see that there is approximately 77 million Tamil people all around the world, and 72 million just in India, and the other 5 million is scattered all around the world over 40 countries. And we see a majority of them living as expatriates and over 1,000 living as refugees and asylum seekers. To come to my methodology of my study, the main tool of data collection was a questionnaire with 13 questions, with basic questions such as name, gender, religion, and specific questions relating to the topic, and two or three descriptive questions. These questionnaires were mailed to these 5 countries, and around only 40 responses were received, which is a very small sample size. To begin with my findings of my study, these are the questions. The pie chart represents the questions asked in the questionnaire, and it represents the process results. When asked, do you speak Tamil at home? Or despite religion, despite which country they live in, it was 100% yes. So, and while asked, will you insist your children to learn and write Tamil? There was a 70% yes. Thus, we see how strongly migrants they have a very strong affiliation towards language, which shows how they upheld their cultural identity. And when food has a very strong emotional bonding. So when we miss home, we miss home food. And while asked how often do you eat South Indian food at home or at restaurants, it was around 87% every day they prefer to eat South Indian food. And this represents this might be the reason behind the global presence of Saravana Bhavan. Saravana Bhavan has 38 branches all over India, and it has over 40 branches around the globe, outside India. And also in countries such as the United States, there are ethnic Tamil restaurants such as the Madurai Tattukadai and Karaikudi Samayal, which has a big market for them. And when we talk about festivals, when asked, do you celebrate Pongal, Diwali, there was around a 55% yes. And this 55% yes represents the Tamil migrant population in the US. As we see, US is very liberal towards the immigrant policies. Thus, there are some events which were really interesting. During December in Seattle, the Austin Tamil Sangam conducts Margali Utsavam. And Carnatic singers from India are called for guest performances, and it happens in a very large scale. And also this November for last Diwali, and the Awesome Tamil Sangam had organized a very big event for Diwali. To talk about media, we see the global reach and the lineage towards Tamil culture is also shown through media. And to talk about organizations, this was one of the very shocking information for me. All around the world, there were so many organizations formed by Tamils, such as the Austin Tamil Sangam, the London Tamil Sangam, the Frankfurt Tamil Sangam, and the Singapore Tamil organization, the South African Tamil Federation, and it's a big list. So the number of organizations